We celebrate the outstanding achievements of our students, faculty, and staff in the creative arts. The distinguished number of honorees you'll hear about this evening have all excelled in the areas of creative inquiry and production, outreach, and professional excellence. They embody the outstanding range, quality, and diversity of the creative arts here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. These awards would not be possible without the generosity of our donors and supporters. The Joyce J. and Gerald A. Bartel family, Suzanne and Roberto Freund, Emily McKay and Ruth and Hartley Barker, Dwayne and Susan Turchel, the Bassett and FU Foundations, the University of Wisconsin Foundation, and the Vilas trustees. This year, the Arts Institute is thrilled to present approximately $90,000 in awards to students and faculty.
The residential creative arts and design community, the Studio, offers awards for outstanding research and service. These awards recognize and honor exceptional artistic projects and endeavors that will take place in the upcoming academic year. The awards are sponsored through the Division of University Housing and the Arts Institute.
The Studio Research Award, Devin McDonald.
My name is Devin McDonald. My major is currently undecided. My artistic mediums are photography, poetry, and I'm beginning to do some digital stuff, playing around with Photoshop and Premiere and Illustrator and stuff. 2012, I graduated high school and I didn't have a lot of direction, and so I reached out to a nonprofit that I was aware of in Seattle and tried to offer service any way that I could. And after working for them in Seattle for 6 months, I actually was sent by them to Guatemala to work from their Guatemala office, and I ended up staying there for 7 months. And so that was my first taste of moving abroad. I knew from there I was just going to keep on going, but I didn't know where, so I kind of just went wherever opportunity took me. I went to Colorado, New Mexico, Louisiana, New York, and I also lived in California for a while. So I had a 35mm camera the whole time and I was documenting it, but I didn't know why. I just knew I really liked the way the photos looked. And I compiled this stash of over 1,000 photos that I didn't know what I was going to do with. So when I got here to University of Wisconsin, I started taking an independent study with Faisal, who was my advisor. And then I had a creative writing workshop with Ahmad Johnson, and they're both very talented artists. Ahmad kind of directed my writing, and Faisal helped direct and organize my photography. And we started to match them, and it has turned into a really cool series. So I'm really excited about this award in particular because I was already going home for the summer. I'm from a neighborhood in North Seattle that's not really talked about, and it's a really interesting mix of people. It's kind of a neglected part of town. My goal is to create a body of work that really represents the people of that small pocket very well, and as well documents the large array of lifestyles. It'll be more photography. I'm going to have an audio recorder. I'm going to document their stories and hopefully create it into a mixed medium presentation. The studio is really cool. I really like living on the studio because every person on the studio floor is actively engaged in some artistic medium. And genuinely, given that we're young people, they're very passionate about it, and it's really fun to be with people who are very excited. I think within the First Wave community, a lot of ideas are kind of commonplace or known that haven't yet spread to the rest of the campus community. And I think being there puts me in a position where I'm very intentional about the art that I create and knowing how it will be received in the First Wave community, but then as well the larger community on campus. Definitely thank you for the support and the grant. I think it's so cool to foster art, especially in young people. It's so necessary. And I'm very confident that the voices that I'll be representing and the art that I'm going to create will bring to the University of Wisconsin a perspective that's not present on this campus.
The Studio Research Award, Mackenzie Berry.
My name is Mackenzie Berry. I'm an English creative writing major, and I'm interested in poetry on campus as I am a First Wave scholar, but I'm also interested in getting into documentary filmmaking, which is what I applied for the Creative Arts Award. It is a documentary about Muhammad Ali's influence on hip-hop and spoken word. Most accounts of spoken word dated back to about the 1970s with Nikki Giovanni, The Last Poets, Gil Scott-Heron, but Muhammad Ali actually released a spoken word album in 1963. He also used to dance, which is how he learned some of his boxing footwork, and that's some of the things that are not often credited when talking about Muhammad Ali. And the film also looks at sexism and his ideology as a parallel to the sexism in hip-hop. Because he is a larger-than-life figure, sexism is often something that's not talked about, and I think it's important to critique this in public figures because of the influence they have and what they represent for the everyday person. So far I've interviewed DMC of Run DMC, and we'll be interviewing Curtis Blow soon as well as other hip-hop scholars such as Tony Blackman, interviewed Gloria Ladson Billings, interviewed Muhammad Ali's brother, his daughter, and other people that know him to kind of create the narrative of his story as well as how it relates to hip-hop. As far as the research end as well, we'll be looking into a lot of photo archives. There's a lot available at the Muhammad Ali Center. They have all the footage of anything really that he's ever done. And I do have access to that because I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. So just trying to take advantage of my access points as far as having the university and the Creative Arts Award as a resource, as well as me being from Louisville and being able to access these people who know Muhammad Ali. So I'm very excited to be able to have that resource in order to apply it to this project that I've been working on for some time. As far as First Wave, it really provides a community of people to fall on at the UW-Madison campus. So when a lot of students come here, they may not know anyone, but First Wave provides that support as far as community-based people and just knowing other artists on campus and just using them to kind of feel your way around campus as far as what resources are available. And then the university itself has great resources as far as funding for students' ideas and allowing students to take autonomy over those ideas, which I think is really important. And the studio itself, again, provides a floor of artists so you can see what other people are doing in their art, see if it connects with your art and if you can collaborate. The spaces as well are very important. As far as the black box space, I kind of use that space to practice filming, so I've been very appreciative of those spaces and those people as well. I'm definitely an advocate for supporting the arts because I think it's one of the most important disciplines to humanity, because the arts have the opportunity to deepen empathy in people, which I think is more critical even than some academic-based studies that people may support. And I think the arts presents an incredible breadth of opportunity for interdisciplinary studies, so the arts can apply to a lot of different mediums, and I think that's what makes it so evolutionary and so important to everyone, not just people who consider themselves artists.
The Studio Service Award, Jasmine Kiah with Mackenzie Berry.
So hi, my name is Jasmine Kiah. I am a transfer student here. So this was my first year here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm double majoring in comm arts and theater. And I'm also a part of First Wave, representing the 10th cohort. Woo. This idea came from actually a final that we did in my artistic director's class last semester during the fall. Final was about the humanization of people and how a lot of people dehumanize people of color, and living in this capitalist society and finding ways to get rid of those capitalist behaviors. We are going to be using things like art to deprogram those things because, you know, that's what artists do. We use what we're currently going through or what society is going through to try to change the rhetoric around certain things like race and sexism in the world. So that is what the project will be, and it's going to be really, really dope. I just can't wait. I just plan to use the resources to buy equipment for the show and to hopefully get it in other venues other than just the Black Box. I want this to travel to as many places as possible. First Wave is a scholarship based off of academics, activism, and arts. And then you have the studio where first year students and also First Wave students come in and basically are artists and basically help each other grow and nurture each other's gifts. I think that's very important. Like this year I got to work with a few members on the floor, and it was very inspirational. I just think that having people that are like-minded is very important for the artwork or the mission that you're trying to achieve, especially if you're fighting for justice. And also through First Wave, I know this year I got the opportunity to be on the touring ensemble where we went to different places in Madison, and we also went to Chicago to speak about the things that are going on in society and how your voice can be heard. And having the studio residents come out and so actually support us, support the First Wavers, was always an amazing experience. With everything that's going on with the social climate on this campus, you have to find that willpower to get up every single day and still work towards your goal, and still try to love and still try to get that art out. So no matter what's going on, don't give up on what you're trying to do or your mission work.
New Arts Venture Challenge is a campus-wide competition open to all majors to encourage new, innovative ideas. Students submit a proposal for an arts event, exhibition, series, or another kind of artistic project to implement over the next academic year.
First prize, Art en Route, UC Katie Liu, Art History and Classical Humanities. Alexandra Pollock, Art History. Art en Route will connect literary works with visual art on public transportation. Creative writers and visual artists will collaborate to create unique commissioned works of art, which will be photographed and then printed on exterior wraps on Madison Metro transit buses. Original works will also be shown in an exhibition.
Second prize, Cosmos, Kai Rasmussen, Biology.
Cosmos is a clothing line that connects scientific research, flowers, spaceflight, and art. The socially responsible fashion line will include notes about aspects of spaceflight and astrobotany. Second prize, Makers and Their Tools, The Rue People. Julia Fillingame, MBA. Luisa Fernanda Garcia Gomez, MFA, Design Studies. Erin Tenderholt, Real Estate and Management and Human Resources. Makers and Their Tools, The Rue People, features an indigenous group in Nepal with their stories and cultural crafts presented through an artistic lens in a traveling exhibition. Artisan products will also be available for sale during the exhibition.
Second prize, No Exit, Brittany Graham, MFA, Theater and Drama. John P. Drescher, MFA, Theater and Drama. Suruthi Surasan, MFA, Theater and Drama. No Exit is an avant-garde, audience-centered theatrical experience based on the play No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre. Audience members will find themselves going through an immersive hell via various mental and physical experiences.
The David and Edith Sinaiko Frank Graduate Fellowship for a Woman in the Arts supports and encourages women musicians, dancers, artists, actors, and creative writers by providing them with an opportunity to present their work. Allison Roberts, Art Department.
My name is Allison Roberts. I'm a third-year MFA student in art. I work mostly with lens-based media, projections, video, and projected image installations, combining imagery with sculpture. My work is about loss and absence, identity, memory, through the lens of the domestic, whether it's domestic interiors, objects, or even domestic architecture and the exterior. When I first came to UW, I was actually working in different media, so as my practice changed, I really now have to gather equipment and programs and things so I can actually make my work. So this award is allowing me the chance to get equipment and programs that I need to make more of an immersive space. I have made individual pieces that I will like a single piece in a show, but this is a solo exhibition where I'm trying to have the spectator move through the space and have multiple projections happening at the same time and trying to coordinate it all. I like the chance to take my work the direction it needs to go for the concept and not be caught up in a specific media. What's been really helpful is that the art department has an interdisciplinary focus, and that's part of the reason why I was drawn to UW-Madison. I didn't know that my work was going to change quite the way it has, but I liked the opportunity to let it grow and change, and that really has been the nature of being here. The expertise and the availability of the faculty, the professors, both in the art department and also in the affiliations like the art history and design studies, and through actual classes. And I've done a lot of independent studies, like a lot, and really just getting that feedback from a bunch of different people, different viewpoints. And as your work is changing a lot, to have people ask you the questions that kind of helps you think about what your work is doing and why you're doing it, and that's been really helpful. This immersive installation I'm trying to put together wouldn't be possible without the financial support, so I'm very grateful for the Art Institute and all their supporters.
Liz Anna Kozik, Design Studies.
My name is Liz Anna Kozik. I'm a third-year MFA in the Design Studies department. I share stories of the Midwestern environment through comics. For my thesis, I've spent a great deal of time researching the history of the UW Arboretum, which is the home of the first prairie restoration in the world. Pretty exciting. And so I've had the wonderful opportunity to delve into that history, talk to researchers who are still working there, and communicating all that through comics. I am so honored to receive this award, and what it means to me is a fulfillment of the goal of my project. The theory behind environmental psychology is if you get people to view the environment as a part of them, a part of who they are personally, then they will be self-driven to take care of the environment. So my goal in making these comics about the history of the UW Arboretum is to share that with the public. And so I will be using the award money to print a large run of these comics, which will be distributed at the Arboretum Visitor Center. Also hanging in the Visitor Center, I will have digitally woven large textile pieces depicting pieces of these history. There's a wonderful shared history between tapestries and comics where it's basically linear narratives being told across changing images. And so I link the two in my art. Right now, I'm working through the timeline of the Arboretum's history. You can sort of chart it all the way from when Madison was founded all the way down to now, and little pieces of the way the landscape has changed over time, from prairie to corn to fallow field to prairie restoration all over again. What's been so amazing doing my graduate education here is I've collaborated with chemists, with engineers, and I've been doing this research project under one of the top environmental historians in the world, Bill Cronin, so cool. And I'm working really, really closely with Linda Barry, an internationally recognized comic artist. The university has provided such a wonderful opportunity between the faculty, and just the history of the Arboretum happened to link up exactly with my research. It's easy to sort of dismiss the arts as just making pretty things, just aesthetic experiences. But I think that my work, along with a lot of my peers, is treating art as a means of communication, a means of reaching people. And it's my goal that, I'm teaching people to care about their local environment, to get people engaged.
The Lyman S.V. Judson and Ellen McKechnie Judson Student Award in the Creative Arts is presented every other year to an undergraduate and graduate student in the creative arts who has made the greatest contribution to the field or fields of study covered. This year's recipient is John Hallett, Graduate Award Art Department.
I'm John Hallett. I'm a third-year graduate student of the MFA program. I'm situated here in the wood department, but I guess my work spans a range of medium. Since coming here, I've started doing a lot of glass blowing. I had an interest in that and have worked in that medium a little bit before, but coming here to UW-Madison has allowed me to build on that. And I've moved into other medium as well, metal, plastics, a whole range, which has been great. I guess I came from a design and craft background, so coming here has allowed me to transition into more of a fine art context. My plan with the award is to use it to help me fund the creation of my MFA graduate exhibition. This exhibition is a fantastic opportunity to make a body of work that's a jumping off point for my career post-grad school and will lead to a bunch of different professional opportunities within the arts and design. I'm interested in ideas of gravity, resolution, rotation as well, and I'm interested in how I might manifest those conceptual concerns through functional objects, furniture, homewares, that kind of thing. How the audience might better connect with those functional objects that they're familiar with rather than purely sculptural forms. Moving into fine art, I've had a lot of support from faculty here and my peers as well in developing the sophistication of that conceptual conversation, which I felt like I was kind of lacking. The facilities here as well and the programs that are run have really allowed me to build my technical skill set, and just being able to move to the United States from Australia and be part of the much larger arts community and arts industry here has allowed me as a student and an educator and an employee working within the arts to really broaden my horizons and get experiences that I never would have been able to get previously. It's really important as an artist that we have community engagement and community support in what we do so that we can in turn support the community. So I'd like to just really encourage everyone to continue supporting the arts.
Lyndsay Lewis, Undergraduate Award Dance Department.
My name is Lyndsay Lewis. I'm a super senior here at UW-Madison, majoring in dance and psychology. I consider myself a movement artist and a choreographer. I use a lot of improvisation to create and generate because I think that gives way to this organic movement and movement that's a little bit different. So I would say that my aesthetic doesn't quite fit into any one box, and my work is really collaborative, so I'm always talking to the dancers. We're doing a lot of discussion, a lot of writing. They're making, I'm editing, I'm making, they're watching. I see the award as kind of a launch pad and an opportunity for me to use resources to establish myself as an artist. I think it means continuing to make work. I think it means creating a space for myself. And I think in continuing to make work, I hope that I continue what I'm doing right now, editing and exploring and looking at how the work I'm making right here is going to grow. Also making new work. So I'm looking to move to New York City after graduation. The award gives me money that I can turn to use to reserve studio space and pay dancers and just keep making work. First and foremost, the faculty here is incredible, and it's really nice because they all come from very diverse backgrounds. They're constantly encouraging me to think and to inquire and to critically analyze what I'm doing and to ask why I'm doing it. The department has summer scholarships, so I've been fortunate enough to dance in Seattle, Mexico, Detroit, Maine, New York, all of these different places to study elsewhere and then also see these other ideas and these other frameworks. And so I think I've just gotten like a very diverse way to see art through many different lenses, and so that's really given me an idea of what I value and what I want to do going forward. Being in the department has really given me an ability to like know myself better and know other people better, and I think people who support the arts are giving people like me and students who are, trying to go out into the world and do art an opportunity to flourish and to grow.
The Joyce J. and Gerald A. Bartell Award recognizes and honors the achievements of faculty and staff in the creative arts in areas of outreach, public service, and other activities involving the larger community. This year's recipient is Ron Kuka, Faculty Associate and Coordinator of the Creative Writing Program.
I'm Ron Kuka. I'm a Program Coordinator in Creative Writing here. I got involved in this program at Oak Hill. Oak Hill is a medium minimum security facility just about 20 miles from Madison. The program was started by two of our graduate students here, and I was just invited to come out and read some of my own work there, and kind of fell in love with it. We teach classes year-round. We have students from the art department, from the English department, some from Spanish, and we also had a great deal of support from students in Slavic languages. I've been teaching the narrative class, but it's only one of several classes that are taught there. So in any given semester, we'll teach classes in drama, philosophy, Afro-Am. The thing that struck me at first was how grateful they were for these classes. They have to sign up well in advance. There's no credit involved, though I like to see the program start to give credit. They're very hardworking. Many times I'll assign a couple of stories for class, and I'll have read it 3 or 4 times, and they know more about the story than I do when I come in to teach the story. What I'd like to see for part of this grant is I'd like to find some way to plow the money back into the program, specifically in finding ways to get keyboards into the hands of the men out there. Many of these men have been working on their fiction and their poetry, memoir, etc. for 10 and 20 years. I've had a couple of students who've written 500-page novels by hand and copied that over. So that just gives you an idea about the sort of dedication they have to telling their story. There's almost no other programs like this across the state. And Wisconsin has a very large problem with the number of people it incarcerates. The way the devastation plays out, especially in black neighborhoods, is significant. It's meant a great deal to get to know some of these guys. And I've also sensed, especially amongst some of our MFA writing students here, a real hunger to find ways to get involved in a concrete way with this sort of greater Wisconsin.
The The Edna Weekers Arts in Wisconsin Award seeks to enrich cultural offerings and inspire future artists in Wisconsin communities underserved by the arts. The award supports faculty or staff in the creation and/or presentation of new or existing artworks across the state. Aristotle Georgiades, Art Department.
I'm Aristotle Georgiades. I go by Aris. I've been at the university for like 17 years. I teach sculpture and sometimes a public art seminar. And I have a practice of doing both studio sculpture and public art. I collaborate with my wife under the name Actual Size Artworks. Well, this award I submitted mostly because I wanted to curate or organize a sculpture exhibition that I've done in the past that gives advanced upper division students and graduate students an opportunity to actually build a piece of sculpture or installation art and display it in an outdoor setting with thousands of people that get to see it at the UW Arboretum. I do public work, and I like the work to reach a broader audience than maybe just a high art audience. It's been successful, and the students really get a great experience out of it. It begins their professional practice. The exhibition is in coordination with the blooming of the Longnecker Gardens. So some people are a bit surprised when they see sculpture in the midst of these beautiful blooming trees. Having the opportunity to apply for research funding through graduate school or through the Arts Institute is a real gift. And I don't take that lightly. You know, in these kind of political times in the state of Wisconsin, it can be quite difficult to do public work. The Arboretum has given us that opportunity to work out there. Students begin to understand working in the public, having to make projects that can stand the weather, that are safe. Sometimes people see those as compromises, but it's part of being an artist in the world. Ages ago, when I first became a professor, I felt a real responsibility to be a spokesperson for visual arts. Sometimes issues come up and they direct questions from the press or something to you. And so I have to be an advocate. I hope that appreciators will also be advocates of visual arts, especially public art. You don't always have to like it, but if nothing else, it creates discussion. I think we have to defend the ability for it to be there, those opportunities. So I hope that art appreciators will stand up for this.
The Emily Mead Baldwin Awards in the Creative Arts recognizes the achievements of a tenured member of arts faculty and provides general research support. This year's recipient is Lisa Gralnick, Art Department.
Hi, I'm Lisa Gralnick. I'm a professor in the art department. My major area of expertise is metalsmithing, which includes gold and silver smithing, coppersmithing, brass, basically working in non-ferrous metals, both in terms of jewelry and tabletop objects, and also more recently metalsmithing has also included a sculpture practice. The last, I'd say, 10 years I've been more interested in sculptural work, and I've even moved into a larger scale and started doing some ceramics. But I think that all the work conceptually points back to my field in one way or another. I'm very grateful to have gotten the award this year. It couldn't be a more perfect time for me because I'm getting ready for a major exhibition, which is a 35-year retrospective at the National Ornamental Metals Museum, which is the only museum in the country devoted to metalsmithing, and then it's going to be traveling regionally to some other museums, and we're also doing a catalog. This year was my 60th birthday. This exhibition is kind of a milestone for me. There are multiple bodies of work, and we're going to be borrowing a lot of work back from major museums like the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Houston Museum of Fine Arts, and then we're going to be borrowing from more regional museums like the Racine Art Museum, and borrowing work back from individual collectors who own the work. And then I'm producing one brand new body of work for the exhibition. And so the grant is going to really help me in terms of materials and supplies for the new body of work. There are also a lot of other costs associated with putting together an exhibition this size in terms of studio help that I need and the building of crates, cleaning of pieces that are 30 years old. This is just couldn't be a more perfect time for me to get this kind of award and have the extra cushion of support to make it that much better. The university is an amazing place. The amount of intellectual inquiry that is going on in this campus in every imaginable field, and the fact that on any given day there's a lecture that you can go to in science or in the humanities or in the arts, and I have found that to be very, very stimulating in terms of my work. Then, of course, is the support that the university gives you in terms of your own research, which is amazing. And then the other element is teaching. Teaching really does make its way back into my work. I mean, part of what you do as a teacher is try to be aware of current themes and issues in contemporary art. And as you're discussing these concepts with students, it forces you to be accountable in your own work as to how well you're fulfilling the mission of a contemporary artist, if you're expecting them to do so. As we kind of move into a new political climate, I hope people won't forget, when all is said and done, the arts become our testament to our own time and the thing that survives and gives us information and evidence of what culture was like at a given moment in time, and they are extremely important.
Beverly Taylor, Mead Witter School of Music.
I'm Professor Beverly Taylor, and I'm Director of Choral Activities at the UW. And that means I'm in charge of the 7 choirs we have. I conduct 2 of the choirs, the big oratorio chorus, the choral union, and we work with the UW Symphony. The concert choir is our big touring choir. We take concerts on the road sometimes to high schools or communities, and we do some very high-end concerts here. That is, this choir is one of our most talented. I also teach the graduate choral conducting program. We have 2 or 3 master's or doctoral candidates at a time, and I give them private conducting lessons and teach a seminar that's open to others as well on conducting issues and practical issues that you find in the world of professional musicians. The Emily Mead Baldwin Prize is a fabulous award, and I've longed for it for years. And it gives me 2 years of support to write a basic conducting book. And although there are several out there, there hasn't been a new one for some years. And I'm hoping for this one to take 2 different tacks and help us reach people beyond just our campus here. One is that I'm integrating more thoroughly than a lot of books the necessity for ear training and interpretive and analytical skills besides just the conducting technique. The other part is we'll do what many textbooks now are doing, which is have accompanying DVDs or streaming or suggested links where what I'm talking about can be demonstrated. Teachers or students throughout the state or the nation can continue to grow as musicians, even if they're not studying here on campus. My model was Elizabeth Green, who wrote a basic textbook 40 or 50 years ago for the University of Michigan that is still used today. And she wrote it at a time when there were very few women conductors at all. I feel like after 40 years in the business or so, I should be ready to help guide another generation or two. Without places like the Arts Institute and the department and donors and friends, we couldn't carry on. In fact, as state funding dries up or national funding, we're all scrambling to remind the public how important the arts are. Sometimes I wish we could have an arts fast. A fast day in which all the pictures are taken off the walls, all the music is stopped from the radios, and people wonder what has happened to their world and their spirits. I have a number of people in Choral Union, even who have full-time jobs, who say, my spirit wouldn't be what it is if I didn't have Choral Union. For a few minutes, I can forget what I've done, immerse myself in something larger than myself, be singing with the group, including people I know and don't know, and make something bigger that adds to the beauty of the world.
Funded by the generosity of the Bassett and EVU Foundations, the Creative Arts Award recognizes the achievements of a tenured arts faculty member and provides research support for a period of 3 years. This year's recipient is T.L. Solin, Art Department.
My name is T.L. Solin. I'm a member of the Art Department. I'm a painter. My paintings are progressive figural. My work typically is painting, but I have a MFA in sculpture, and painting. And for quite a while I was practicing sculpture. And as my work has evolved, the idea of what painting can be in terms of an object, or the condition that a painting exists in terms of its materiality, is very interesting to me. Over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, I've had occasion to do a lot of traveling, doing research for a previous project. And the research that I did involved visiting antique malls, garage sales, flea markets, all kinds of places where there are vintage objects. I became really sort of attracted in a way that I actually could not really logically explain at the time in sort of kitsch ceramic figurines. Over the last year or so, I have been in contact with the Kohler Artist Residency with the idea that I would be able to somehow create human scale versions of these kinds of kitsch figurines that I would then paint and modify in various ways. I hope to use digital technology so that I can scan smaller scale objects, do 3D scans of them, and then reproduce them in sections and sort of build the sections up until they reach the human scale. And so I'm hoping to use the funding to pay for materials and assistance and the logistics of working at a much larger scale in a place away from my normal studio. It's really a radical extension of the research and studio practice that I normally undertake. So it's super exciting. The thing that I would like to speak to is the Arts Institute, its role in the university for supporting the arts, and in many instances of providing funding for specific faculty. It plays an incredibly large role and an important role in the development of the faculty members' creative work, allowing them to explore areas and ideas, themes, scales that are quite risky. And so to some degree, that risk is ameliorated by the Arts Institute funding.